We're going to try this intro once again. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you guys are in the world, and welcome to Rush Racing North America and Europe. I apologize for that delay, but the good news is that we are all set back up, ready to go, and qualifying is underway once again. And actually, good news is we actually have more people. As now, in the last race, we had 16. This time with the lobby reset, we got 19. So I guess with that logic, if we have to reset the lobby one more time, we'll have a full grid. But now we go back into short qualifying, 18 minutes on the clock, and it will come down to who can set the fastest lap within that span, and that will be our grid. And I'm curious to see what this will look like. And we'll see with this kind of combined grid between both Division 1 and Division 2. Now it is just one single division. And now we will see kind of what the pace is going to look like as some of these drivers are already starting their laps. And I do believe as I'm making sure to look, I'm making sure to look at the telemetry, seeing who is going to be the first one. I do see 3 people retire. I do not see a reason why. So I'm assuming we're going to keep going as 3 drivers, 2A Skull, and now Potato is going to retire as well. So there must be something going on. Once again, there might be some sort of issue, but I'm not seeing anything in the Discord. So there is still nothing as Calgano will have the fastest lap for the time being, as a lot of other drivers are going to go ahead and get their lap times in. And you can see some of the other drivers coming across the line. Right now, 117 is still the mark to beat. Harold will get a 117.7, and Angry Badger, his teammate, will get a 118.3. And Ferg Boy will get a 1 minute 18.5 into P4 for the time being. So I am not entirely sure what the reasoning was behind that, as John DT will go ahead and set a 1 minute 18.9. Oh, okay. Thank you, Enzo, in the Discord. I appreciate the help. I did not know this, but previous Division 1 drivers have to retire from qualifying and add a lap of fuel in the race to kind of balance out, or kind of get a sense of balancing out the grid. So now that makes a little bit more sense. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that little help because I didn't know that. But so you can see there, the drivers who have retired are all Division 1 drivers. So now we'll see basically where the rest of the grid will form up. And honestly, if you're some of these other drivers that are in the kind of mix, that I know recognize some of these names, such as Illyrian and Ced and Harold. If you guys are in that group where you're fast and like really close to Div 1, you're probably looking to try and get as far up the grid as possible, because you know that the Division 1 drivers are going to be setting down quality lap paces. So actually, there you go. So Illyrian will retire. And actually, kind of strategically, since he was retiring there, right now he's in P11. So we'll see where all of the Div 1 drivers, because of the retirements, where it places them. But that's kind of funny if Illyrian ends up being like the first of that group because of retiring last. That would be very, very interesting. As right now, Vincent, so Vincent just set the fastest lap but he is getting added in Discord to go ahead and retire, so because he must be Div 1 pace. And if you guys are wondering, this is kind of the first new race for this entire grid to be combined. We originally had 2 different divisions, and we had 2 different divisions. As the first division was the fastest premier. Division 2 was for the slower drivers, the drivers who were learning. So now combining them, this will be our first race back, and we'll see how this race will look. We have a decent sized group, and especially here at Hungary, I'm curious to see what that will look like. And right now, looking through the grid, looking at my telemetry, and this is going to be very interesting for Hungary. And someone actually mentioned it in when we were talking in Discord, that Hungary being not as fast as a track, and actually said is going to go ahead and set the fastest lap with a 1:16.7, as Harold is going to go ahead and start his lap as well. And it's going to be really interesting because with how the battery management works in this game and with these cars, I'm going to be very interested to see kind of what the battery drain is going to be throughout the race, because of the track itself. With its 14 corners, it's not that fast of a track. A lot of these setups are going to be more downforce based, and you try and plan for all the corners, which by default usually means that very rarely are you going to get the battery down to 0, because of every single turn being able to almost be lift and coasted through. That means they're going to be constantly getting battery charge back. And probably another example of this would be Singapore, where I did it on purpose. I actually tried to get my battery to 0. You just can't do it in these cars with the battery management. You can't get it to 0. And this is one of those tracks that you can try and get it to 0. I can imagine this track will be a little bit easier to get it to 0, but at the same time, it seems like we're always going to have some level of battery, as Harold improves on his time and will set a 1:17.5, or sorry, a 1:17.3, and that'll put him into P3 for the time being. And actually, now looking at Project Nemesis, he did have a green sector 1, but he is at 3,200 off of the pole right now. So Nemesis, he's right there, as we'll watch him go through here with 8.5 minutes to go. I'm curious to see where he's going to place there as he goes through the winding turns of sector 2. And now crossing over that boundary in sector 2, he is going to be 4/10 off of the pole position. And it was a slow sector 2 for him, so he might be on an in lap, but we'll see. As heading around the final turn, here's going to set at a lap. Does he have an improvement? He does. He improves by a 1/10. And that will put him into P6 for the time being. And we'll go down and look. And actually, Angry Badger right now did have a fast sector 1. And now going through sector 2, it's going to be a slow sector 2. As said, is going to go ahead and set another fast lap, a 1:16.3. Right now, Said looks to be the fastest driver in the whole grid, as Angry Badger is going to go around the final corner. Does he have any sort of an improvement? It will be an improvement of a 1/10, but he will remain in P8. As now the Mercedes of Boy will go across. I'm assuming that was an out lap, so he is going to try again. Daza is going to set a 1:18.7 and remain in P11. As I'm going up and down the grid, I believe that Calgano, yes, 3/10 up. So Calgano will be in P3 with a 1:17.1. So now with 7 minutes remaining here in qualifying, we'll have to wait and see just where this qualifying will go. And it will be very curious to see where it will be curious to see how the race pace is going to go. I do see the conversation in the Discord. People are talking about Ced's fastest lap, and I'm wondering if that fastest lap is going to get any of the Division 1 guys nervous. Now, I know that maybe Dre won't be nervous. He doesn't really get nervous about anything, but it'll be really curious to see the comparison and see if maybe the Division 1 guys can go up quicker through the grid. So now I'm curious to see where Harold, actually a Division 2 champion, I'm curious to see where he's going to place now on this new fast lap. Is he going to have anything to say about Calgano's time or Ced's time as he's heading down through Sector 1? Very fast section of the racetrack, down the straight mode straight. And now out of Sector 1, he is a 10th up, but he's 800th behind Ced for the time being. So he is improving as now he's heading through the technical part of this racetrack. In Sector 2, that is going to be probably the place that you can gain or lose a lot of time just because of how technical that part of the track really is. And now heading down into Sector 3, he is 3/10 up, but he is 4/10 off of Ced's time. So Harold is on a very good improvement. So now heading through the final part of Sector 3 around the final turn. Where does Harold place as he boosts across the line? 5/10 up. It'll be a 116.7. And that is going to put him into P2. And that is going to put him into great position. As I'm going ahead and looking, I believe that Daza Daza might be on a slow lap. And I'm going to go ahead and check on some of these other drivers. And a big slide there from Drippy. Drippy or Drip, either way. That was a little bit of a slide, so his lap might be done for the time being on that one. And with 3.5 minutes left, I can imagine that some of these drivers are preparing for their final laps. And actually, Ced is already on his out lap. And some of these other drivers are going on their out lap as well. I'm curious to see if Ced can improve on that last time. I'm very curious. So actually, Calgano is going to go ahead and retire feeling confident in their time with a 117.1. So I am kind of curious to see if Ced is going to set a faster lap time. And actually, I did see Harold made it back to the pits. He would have time if he gets out of the pits now if he wants to set another lap time. Cautions waving in Sector 2 as Ced was letting some of the other drivers go ahead. Now with 2:15 remaining. I'm kind of waiting to see if Harold is going to go out right now. You can see the Mercedes of Boy will go ahead and he will be first. Project Nemesis will be next. And then you can see Ced will go ahead and be the next one. So now we'll keep an eye. And actually, there is someone exiting. I do believe that... Oh, that was John DT, actually, who will go out on another outlap. Still no movement from Harold. So Harold might not be going for another lap. But we'll keep an eye on that for now. So Boy actually will get an improvement on his time. But he is still slower than the pole lap. So this would be his shot to improve as he heads through Sector 2 into as he heads through Sector 2 towards Sector 3. Nemesis had a slow Sector 1 as well. So now we'll actually check back in on Ced. And Ced had a slow Sector 1 as well. So he did not improve on his time. So I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, he is on a slow lap. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to try again. Yeah, and Boy is going to be on a slow lap as well as we hit less than a minute. So this is going to be the final lap for these drivers. You can see him boosting all the way down that front stretch. This is going to be the last opportunity for these drivers on track as we hit the 30-second mark to go. And I'm keeping an eye on those times as Boy's gonna head through Sector 1 to the line, and it will be just about exactly the same. And actually he was close to Ced's time as well, so this could be a little bit of an interesting development. Actually, Nemesis did improve to 5th, so I do believe he might be on a slow lap now. But now we'll see as qualifying comes to an end. Ced did get a green Sector 1. He doesn't have, surprisingly, if you believe this, Ced does not have the fastest Sector 1. Calgano actually has the fastest Sector 1. As now Ced heading down through Sector 2. We'll check back in here with the Mercedes. Is there an improvement? He had an improvement in Sector 2. Around the final corner, does he improve his time? And he does, but he will remain in P7. So now around the final corner goes Ced. He actually set a purple Sector 2 to the line. Does he have it? He does. A 2/10 improvement as he's going to improve on his fastest lap yet. And now around the final corner, the last driver, the Williams of Drip, does he have an improvement as well across the line? An improvement that will put him into P8. And that is going to conclude qualifying. As I already know, I can see the chat. They're complaining about Ced. If you guys would believe it, that Ced, either Ced got much better or he, he's either Div 2, qualifying pace, not race pace, or he's ready. He got much better. So Ced will get racing pole position, followed by Harold, Vincent, Calgano, Project Nemesis, Otis, Boy, Drip, John DT, Angry Badger, Daza, Kaizu. Illyrian is the start of our retirements. So Illyrian, 2A, Skull, Dre, Bookie, Snipes, and Enzo. So now we head into the race. 35 laps. That Hungary is one of the smaller-ish tracks here on the calendar. So it'll be 35 laps as it is half distance. As the drivers are going to get set. It is a dry race for now. We will see if it stays dry. And the call does come in to wait and give the people a time to get their setups. Apologies for the slight silence. We want to make sure that we get everyone in. That someone said, yeah, Project Nemesis says that he needs an invite. I do not see him online. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to see if I can still send him one. I don't even see him in my list, which is very, very weird. But I want to make sure that we can get him in. Yeah, that is very weird that he's not even appearing for me online. I can go ahead and double check. But I do not see. Okay, so someone else was able to send him an invite. Yeah, that's very strange. Like I said, F1 has been acting very, very strange lately. That I don't know. It's been acting very, very strange in a lot of recent glitches and stuff like that. I don't really know what's going on. But just recently had a lot more issues than we normally do. So there is the call. Green flag is in the Discord chat. So we are going to get ready to get rolling here in Hungary. And this is going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen. And we all know turn one is usually chaos. And we're about to find out in 5 lights time as the Hungarian Grand Prix is underway. And it looked like Ced got the best launch out of all of them as we head down, roaring down turn one. And it looks like Ced is going to get it. We're 3 wide going to turn 1. Harold on the inside able to get it. There's a lot of bouncing around. Some of the cars going 4 wide. More contact, 3 wide in the middle. As there are cars going every which way. One Williams was slow. And I believe that was Otis who had a moment. And now the end plate of Enzo is gone from that Red Bull. And you can see everyone is running. Kaizu will run wide through that turn, but be able to rejoin. Now actually Kaizu is going to go ahead and retire. And I do not believe that that is going to cause a safety car, as we are still running in the race. Ced is going to go ahead and still lead the race. Harold making that move on the inside into P2. And now we got a car running somewhat wide, as now Boy and Vincent are side by side. Boy trying to keep that position, but Vincent is going to be able to roll around the outside and take over P4. And now Illyrian moving up as well. Both Illyrian and Snipes moving up as well. It is still chaos and competition here in the middle of the grid. Heading back down to turn 1, down the inside goes Snipes, and that could be a beautiful move. It was, but it looks like the Williams of Otis has something to say about it, as I believe that might be a little bit of an internet connection issue, but Snipes will make the move, and Snipes is going to maintain that P9 position, as we are still going toe-to-toe throughout the whole grid. But you can see the biggest gap there is that Calgano and that lead group of Ced, Harold. Oh, and now a moment as 2A had to run wide through the chicane. That's going to cost him a position to Boy. But now Illyrian and Nemesis are side by side. And the Williams of... and now more movement. Illyrian almost getting sideways. Snipes had to take evasive action. Otis is going to retire, and that is going to cause a virtual safety car. We saw him in the background. He ran wide, and I think that's what happened. He ran wide, and that was crazy. And now Illyrian is going to get a 10-second penalty, and now safety car deployed. So now a full safety car has been deployed. And now, actually, look at that. A lot of the other drivers who are at the back of the grid are now able to capitalize, as a lot of them were going to be able to get their pits in. And actually, look at that. So Illyrian got the 10-second penalty, but because it happened when it was under VSC instead of safety car, he was able to come in, serve his penalty, and still get the pit stop off. So that's actually a great job done by Illyrian, as the safety car is going to bunch everyone back up together, and we will get going once again. An absolutely crazy start to the race, but don't go anywhere, as we will be right back after this short break, as the drivers will reset for the safety car restart. Welcome back to Rush Racing here in North America and EU. Safety car is in this lap, as the drivers are going to get set to restart. Oh, and now a 10-second penalty for a severe collision with Bookie. Drip is going to get that 10-second penalty as we wait for Sed. Sed will be the one who decides when to go. And Bookie's going to get a 10-second penalty for ignoring the yellow flag. And now this is when Sed decides to go. And it is green flag racing back in the air here at Hungary. And it actually looked like Boy didn't get that good of a launch. Two-way is going to be all over the back. And look at Snipes around the inside. Oh, look at the Ferrari of Skull who went flying past. That's a double overtake. Unbelievable. He went flying past everyone. And then 2A was able to make the overtake on Boy as well. That was crazy. I don't know how in the world he was able to do that double overtake. But that was like he got launched. Bookie and Drip both in the pits, I'm assuming to serve their penalty and to get the pit stop out of the way, as the drivers are still relatively close. Sed's still leading the group, but it's probably going to still be not long. And actually, you can see 2A is already making the moves, as 2A is moving right behind Vincent. Right there, he thought about making the move. He thought better as we head down through Sector 3. I can imagine that 2A is waiting to hopefully make a move here into Turn 1. Heading down the front stretch, Sed will set the fastest lap time for the moment being. Down the front stretch, 2A on the back of Vincent. Is he going to go for the move to the inside? Dive bomb to the middle. He had a little bit of a slide. The switchback attempt from Vincent. We're side by side here in Sector 1. Who is going to get the better entrance? And it looked like Vincent got the better entrance, but 2A is not letting go. But look at that. Vincent able to hold his line. And Vincent will reclaim P4. And actually, you can see side-by-side fighting, as Boy is going to be able to maintain it for now, but he goes off track, and that is going to leave it open for Snipes. Snipes will move into a P6 position. The Ferrari of Skull is looking to make a move as well, and he's going to get the move done. And that is going to move Skull into P7. And you can see the McLaren here of Daza moving up the grid as well. Still movement all the way down, and you can see now down to the inside. They believe that was the move from the Mercedes. It was Illyrian, but runs wide. But he's going to be able to get back on track and continue. And actually, look at that. Dre was able to make the move around the outside of Daza. So Dre is going to move into P9 for the time being. And now Dre is going to move it to the outside here through Sector 1, and he's going to make it look easy, as Dre is going to move up into P8 and is going to try and chase down Skull next. And actually, look at this. Snipes is now all over the back of Vincent, as Vincent's trying to stay within range of 2A. And now look at that. Right like that, Snipes is going to make the move and take over in P5, as 2A and Snipes are the leader of that Division 1 group who did not set qualifying times. Daza is going to have a moment and move down 2 places, and you can see someone ran wide. So you can see there, Illyrian will move up into P11 as they are still trying to make their moves up the grid. And now Badger is going to be our first 3-second time penalty for track limits violations, as Snipes is trying to chase down 2A. This actually might be Snipes' best opportunity. 2A no longer has that overtake mode. As we head down here through Sector 1, the leaders are they're still roughly close to each other. And actually, you can see even Harold is still within that half-second gap. He is right there, right behind Sed. And actually, if you guys are wondering, if you guys see the sparks coming out from Sed's car there, it's actually his car bottoming out, which is when you take the whole car and you set it to be lower to the ground, you get more downforce, but you run the risk of bottoming out. And especially on the curbs around here at Hungary, that really could be detrimental. As right now we are still on lap 8, and this is the distance that you can see between the 2 leaders. But actually now, speaking about it, 2A closed down to within a second behind Calgano, and if 2A is going to be able to get that overtake mode back, that would be his best shot. Heading around through Sector 3, he is going to get the overtake mode, but now he's got to worry about Snipes. You can see Snipes He is right there and ready. And I mean, we can go on board with 2A and look back. You can see the distance. Snipes is right there and ready. And that is one thing that I have seen kind of consistent across all of the leagues and everything, that a lot of times with these cars, you have to be not only mindful of your battery, but it is very much also a kind of game of who blinks first. And that is probably the hardest part, is that if you make a mistake in these cars, it usually ends up costing you maybe 1, 2, sometimes even 3 positions for one little mistake. And that is what a lot of times these cars end up being, is that you have to make sure that you do not make a mistake. So now heading down the front stretch, this looks like this is going to be the time to make the moves. And now you can see Snipes, they're all weaving down the straight, trying to get that best opportunity of slipstream. A big lockup from 2A into Sector 1. That is going to leave the door open for Snipes. But the question is going to be, is Snipes going to make the move? You can see 2A looking to the inside of the Racing Bull. No move there, but he does run a little bit wide. You can see there is not much distance between these 3 cars. Like I said before, it is going to come down to who is going to make the mistake first, as Calgano right now leads this group, is 2.7 behind Harold. And actually, Dre is finally going to make the move and get past his teammate. So now, if you're wondering, you're going to have to start making moves, especially if you are 2A and Snipes. If you want to try and have a shot at the leaders, you got to get past this Racing Bull of Calgano. And I mean, you can just see right there with some of these camera angles and shots, these guys are very close together. John DT is going to get a 3-second time penalty for track limits violations. As we head back down here through Sector 1, it looked like Snipes actually got a better launch. And now you can see them going back down the front stretch and weaving. Calgano not wanting any slipstream. And now to the inside, it's going to be close. They believe they touched a little bit, but Calgano is going to maintain 3rd place for now. Then 2A still looking to try and make that move. Probably not happy for the weaving, but now Snipes is going to try and make a move as well. And now that's going to bring Dre into the fray as well. And now trying to look, still nothing doing. Oh, but now down the inside, there is contact. Calgano gets forced to the outside, and now contact and out. A huge crash for Calgano, as Calgano is out of the race. And that contact is going to cost 2A as well. Getting run wide by Dre. As Dre's trying to fight back, 2A responds. It is all elbows out right now for the drivers at the top. Shocking that there was no safety car deployed. After that incident, Snipes was the biggest beneficiary of that, moving into P3, but now 2A is going to be put on the defensive from 2 different Alpines. That was an unbelievable sequence. Oh, and now a little bit of a tap there from Dre, as Dre is going to roar past. And Dre will move into P4, trying to stay within range of Snipes. As Snipes is trying to close down that gap to Harold, in which this battle for the lead is still going, but we have not seen a lead change. That Harold has been maintaining this gap of less than half a second. Oh, and now we got maybe more action, as I see 2A and Vincent. Now Vincent's going to go through. So I do believe that 2A he must have front wing damage. But now Vincent is going to move past. And as I said before, Harold maintaining that half-second advantage, and his laps, him and Said, in terms of a new telemetry feature that I have now, I can look at what they call a lap time graph. Looking at both Said and Harold, their lap times have been very consistent. Oh, and now look at that. Two-way is going to go ahead and pit, probably to repair his front wing and set new tires. So as we said before, I'm curious to see what the strategy is going to be. But right now, the mediums look like that they are holding up. And we can go ahead and show you guys, these are the current lap tires and how old the tires are. You can see those four hards from P4 to P7, actually naked P3 now, as the Dre makes the move past Snipes, but you can see Snipes, he's not letting it go. Snipes is going to be all over the back of Dre, and he is going to try and stick close. And as I said before, within a second of a car. Oh, and now look at that. Harold is going to go into the pits. So one of the leaders who was on the mediums will make the move now, as Harold will go ahead and pit. But those drivers who are now on the hard compound, that is going to benefit them the most, simply because being able to pit. Oh, and now we got a caution, as Bookie, I believe, went wide there in Sector 2, but he was able to get going once again, so no safety car deployed. Actually, that was a big lockup there from Dre. As I said before, with the battery and system and how it all works, you get overtake mode. You only get overtake mode and boost if you are within the second of the car ahead. And now Dre being 2.7 seconds behind Said, he's not going to have that boost battery here for the next lap. But actually, he was able to move out of range away from Snipes, so Snipes is not going to have it either, as the grid is going to be spread out a little bit. Said's going to keep on going. Bookie is in the pits, but yeah, Said is not going to pit. Snipes does not pit either, so those other drivers who are on the mediums are going to keep trucking along. But I will say that could end up helping them later in the race, because remember, this group right here, Dre, Vincent, Enzo, and Illyrian, they were the ones who pit under the safety car. So they do have the fresher tires. They started on the mediums and then went to the hards, but more than likely that means they're going to have to do another pit stop. So if maybe Said or Snipes wants to attempt the one stop, that could be viable, and that could put them in a very good position if Dre, Vincent, Enzo, and Illyrian still need to pit one more time. Oh, and now look at that. Snipes is going to choose to pit now. Dre will maintain P2. Vincent into P3. Enzo P4. Illyrian's going to move up into P5. But now here's the question. Snipes is going to have to try and get out. Maybe ahead of this group. He's going to be behind Daza and Harold. Now down this straight where there is a battle. Two-way down the front stretch. This could be very hairy. Oh, and there was contact. There was contact, it looked like, between Snipes and Two-way. as 2A is going to benefit the most and move up into P8. Snipes somehow was able to move into P9. That could have been a very dangerous scenario had there been more contact. But now we will continue as we are approaching just about halfway through this race. But now here is the one thing too. Said who is leading and is still yet to pit. Now Dre has caught up and he's going to keep on going. Make it 16 laps on those mediums as Said is just going to keep trucking along on those tires. And I will say, I do not have his tire degradation on hand in the telemetry, but I know, judging by the lap time graph, his tires are probably not happy right now. But the fact that he has been able to take those tires as long as he can, realistically, if he can make it to maybe next lap or maybe even lap 19, he would be in a fantastic position for the one stop. And I will say this does hurt Dre too. The longer that Dre is behind, actually there is movement, as I believe 2A actually made the move on Daza. And now Snipes is going to do the same thing. And now we'll see. And now Said is going to go into the pits. Dre just got a penalty. I'm going to go ahead and check that. And he just got 3-second time penalty for track limits violations. Bookie is going to be our next retired driver. And that will not cause a safety car. As far as I can see, that will not cause a safety car. So Dre now has a 3-second time penalty. Vincent will move up. So now 2A and Snipes will move up. Said is actually going to come out right behind them. So Said is in absolutely a perfect position here. And I think him and Snipes realistically can go to the end if they want to. And you can see right now, Snipes is already trying to chase down 2A. And actually, just doing quickly the math, I'm not good at math, so I had to pull out my calculator real quick. So right now, we have hit halfway distance. And for reference, Snipes and Said both did that on mediums. They did half length of the race on mediums. So I can definitely imagine that they are going to be able to do it on hards. And now Dre is going to go ahead and pit. Vincent is going to go ahead and make the move and take over the lead, as now he will take over the lead from his teammate. Dre's in the pits. Interesting decision. I can imagine Dre might be moving on to a new set of mediums. Oh no, he's going to move on to a new set of hards. As now, look at this, Illyrian's going to try and make the move. Trying to make the move on Harold. Harold made it stick on the inside. So Harold will maintain P3 for the time being. 2A trying to heavily defend against Snipes. And now Dre is going to come out of the pits in P8. So now this is going to be a very interesting dash to the line. I can imagine Vincent, Enzo, and Illyrian are still in need of a pit stop. But now you can see Harold, 5-lap old hards, 2A, 6-lap old hards, Snipes, 3 laps, Said, 1 lap, Dre, 0. All of these drivers are on relatively fresh hards that, remember, they took the mediums almost half distance. So I 100% believe that they can do it with the hards. And look at the move on the inside. The move made by Snipes on the inside of 2A. And it looked like it was almost a spin. But Said is going to get a 3-second time penalty. for multiple warnings. Illyrian is going to peel into the pits. Enzo peels into the pits. And now Sid is going to try and make the move. Now on two-way. Two-way aggressively defending. Now to the outside. Does Sid make the move? Hanging and around the outside. Goes off track a little bit. Rejoins. And two-way is going to be able to maintain that lead for right now. Snipes moves into P3. Maybe a little bit of a nudge there from Sid. So now the question is going to be, when will Vincent pit and can Snipes catch up to Harold? If Harold can manage his tires, he is going to be the one to look at to possibly win this race. And there it is. Vincent is in the pit. So that means Harold is going to inherit the lead. And once again, he has been setting very consistent lap times. Snipes into P2, 2A into P3, Set into P4. Dre, however, will set the fastest lap and actually does get ahead of his teammate as well. Vincent is going to come out of the pits just ahead of the Ferrari and the Red Bull of Skull and Enzo. And actually, look at that. Enzo's going to make the move on the inside. Great job there from Enzo moving on the inside. And that moves the Red Bull up into P7. As this battle is still continuing, Dre is slowly closing down that gap. But Snipes is also closing down that gap to Harold as well. The question is going to be, who is going to make it to the end? And can anyone just either last that long or match pace just long enough? Oh, and now retirement. Another retirement from Drip, who will retire in the pit. So we will stay green and continue. Actually, that was an interesting decision. Illyrian on this last pit stop actually moved onto the soft tires. A very interesting decision. As we will continue on through that yellow flag. And we will continue in the race. Still no movement being made. But you got to remember too, Dre and Sed are still working underneath that 3-second time penalty. So even if one of them get the lead, they're going to have to get a bigger margin to be able to try and win this race on track. But now you can see right now, Sed, he's been whittling away that track, and that is why he's been able to whittle away that distance, because of his speed here through the end of Sector 1 and into Sector 2. That this is why he has been the fastest driver, or at least one of the fastest drivers on the grid. And I think it's really just a matter of time. Is he going to make the move? He thought about it, chose not to. As he is going to continue moving up really close. You can see Snipes is slowly lowering that distance. Oh, and now look at that distance. Harold must have an issue. As you can see, Snipes has been able to move that, remove that gap. Harold was a second slower on that lap, so something may have happened. So all of a sudden, Snipes has a chance at the lead. Sed trying to fight two-way once again gets rebuffed. And Sed is just going to have to bide his time again as Dre closes in ever so close. And now that gap has closed down to within a second. That Snipes has now been able to chase down Harold. Oh, and now Boy's going to leave the session, and he is also going to retire in the pits. So that is our next retirement, as the Mercedes of Boy is going to retire in the pits as well. And now you can see the gap. Snipes, who is on a tear right now, as we are just about to hit that 10-lap mark. Right now we have 12 laps to go. As you can see, Snipes, he is slowly closing down that distance, as now he's got it down, and now more movement set around the outside. Does he manage it this time? To the inside, not this time, as Two-Way is going to roar around the outside and maintain P3 for the time being. Two-Way has just been absolutely just under siege right now. Oh, and now Dawes is going to retire in the pits as well, and Two-Way is going to get a 3-second time penalty. So now for third place, it is an even battle. As you can see, Snipes has been able to pull away from Two-Way. And you can imagine, if you are Ced and Dre, you want to get around Two-Way as quick as possible, as the laps continue to count on their tires. And you can see, looking at the stops, Dre has made the 2-stop. Enzo's done the 2-stop. Illyrian's done the 2-stop. John has done the 2-stop. Everyone else on that 1-stop. And that could be the deciding factor. We head back to the front of the grid. You can see the split right there. Trying to break that shift stream. It won't work. Down into turn 1. Is Snipes going to try and make the move? Down into turn 1, maybe the switch back, and now going down through sector 1. All of a sudden, we're side by side for the lead. Now down air braking zone, still side by side. Does the Cadillac have the power? And it looks like right now he will. And we have a brand new race leader, as Snipes will take the race lead away from Harold. And this could be his chance to bring glory to Cadillac, where Cadillac has not had a great season so far. And now officially, with this lap gone by, we will hit 10 laps to go. And you can see P1 through P5 are separated each by less than a second. And now Ced thought about making the move. He chose not to. And you can see he is getting impatient. And now he's going to switch back it to the inside. Is he going to have the run down here to the braking zone? Still on the outside. And it looks like no, as Two-Way is going to be able to manage his defense. And Two-Way will remain here in P3 for the time being. This is quite literally the most intense battle for the win that you could possibly ask for. And it will be interesting too, as I said, those three drivers, Two-Way, Ced, and Dre, have 3-second time penalties. So it will be curious to see how that will be managed. Oh, and now look at that! Two-Way is going to peel into the pits! So that is going to do it for his stint. We'll see if he can catch up. He went 13 laps on the hard tires, and he gets a 10-second penalty. That is going to hurt his campaign to win this race. As you can see, Snipes, 11 laps on his hard tires. Harold, 13 laps. Ced, 9 laps. Dre, 8 laps. I can imagine that these drivers are all looking to maintain the one-stop strategy. And right now, as it's looking, They are right there and ready to do that. And actually, just even though we are keeping track of this battle at the front, there are battles going on back here as well. As look at this, Enzo in the Red Bull chasing down Vincent to less than half a second as the battles are continuing. And now actually we can see the times are closing. So now here we go. Who is going to be able to make the first move? It looks like Dre, and he is going to get rebuffed, and he retaliates against Sid. Maybe a little bit of a block, and now on the outside, who is going to be able to make the move? A little bit of contact, late braking, hanging it around the outside. Sid is going to keep his foot in the door, but it won't matter as Dre is going to move into P3 and get past Sid. And already trying to use that momentum. He is going to swing to the inside of Harold. Huge lockup. And it looks like he forced Harold off. And now one of the signs gets destroyed by Sid. And now side by side is Harold and Sid. Heading down through Sector 2. And Harold is going to get a 3-second time penalty. After being forced off by Sid, he gets a time penalty. So now the order has all been switched up. As we are going to hit just about 7 laps to go here left in the race. You cannot count out any of these drivers. And actually, that is the thing that you also have to worry about. But I will say, Snipes right now does not have a penalty. I don't have the telemetry set up correctly, so I do not know how many warnings he is currently on. But if Snipes can remain clean, he would win the race by default, even if he got overtaken by any of the drivers behind him. So right now, that is what this battle is. Dre is going to have to get by Snipes and build that 3-second gap. If you want my opinion, it might be too much, but I've also seen crazier things happen. All it takes is one corner, one track limits, or one incident that can change the course of an entire race. And you can see already Dre cutting down that gap to 1.3 seconds. As we hit 6 laps to go here left in the race, and it looks like that one stop is going to be the goal. As Snipes, Dre, Sid, and Harold all on the old hard tires. If I go ahead and look, right now, Dre has the youngest tires out of this group, and his most worn tire is at 42%. And if we go ahead and look at some of these other drivers, Snipes, highest one at 52. And then Sid, 43. Harold, 44. All of these drivers are right at the same sort of wear area. And looking right now at the lap time grid, that right now Snipes has been able to maintain his laps. Dre has actually improved on his last 2 laps. He's actually improved on his lap. And now we got a caution, and that is going to bring out a VSC. And that was the Mercedes of Illyrian. who is going to get going again. He must have spun. I do not see any damage on his car. Oh, yes, he does. Missing his entire front wing. He must have hit the wall. So that is going to bring out a VSC. So now here's the big thing. You see two-way, Vincent and Enzo making it into the pits and putting on a fresh set of softs. Two-way is going to serve as time penalty as well. Luckily, no safety car, no full safety car deployed. So now the question is, if you are Snipes, you got to make sure you do not get a penalty for ignoring yellow flags. That is one thing about this game. It is very, very touchy when it comes to maintaining the delta. So if he can maintain that, and now you can see there, Nemesis gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. As VSC is still in effect. And now green flag back in the air. Illyrian will retire in the pit. And now here we go, heading around the final turn here in Sector 3. We will hit lap 32 out of 35. And you can see Snipes trying to break the slipstream. It doesn't look like Dre's going to be able to make a move there. But now the question is going to be, for Snipes, all you got to do is not get a penalty and at least make the fight as hard and tough as possible. The longer he can delay Dre, the more likely that Snipes is going to win this race, either on track or by default through the penalty. Dre thought about making the move there, but instead he gets a lockup and a little bit of a slide. As you can see him trying to maintain the tires through these turns. Oh, and a little bit of a slide there, maybe a little bit of bottoming out on the curb. So that'll open up the gap a little bit, give Snipes a little bit of breathing room. As we will do the dance once again. But now here's the question too. Ced trying to catch up to the back of Dre. Harold trying to catch up to the back of Ced. And actually looking now, Skull has a chance at a top 5 as well. That Vincent has a 3-second time penalty. So Skull has a chance at getting a possible top 5 finish as well. And here we go. 3 laps to go here in the race. Once again, Dre not able to make the move there. Snipes doing a fantastic job of maintaining his tires. Actually, look at that. Two-way will set the fastest lap at a 1:17.2. And now maybe a little bit of a move. And no, he wasn't able to do it. Another huge lockup. But Dre wasn't able to make the move. You can see Dre is getting impatient. He believes that he can win this race, but now all that's happened is that Ced's been able to delay him, and now Ced has caught up to the back of Dre within 1 second. Vide, welcome into the chat. I see you. Welcome in, brother. You came in for the end of the race. As we are going to hit 2 laps to go, and Dre was maybe a few inches off of it, completely removing his right suspension and wheel. So now heading down the front stretch. Once again, not making the move. It might be too little too late unless Dre has some Alpine magic that he can get past Snipes and build a 3-second lead in 1 lap. This could be coming up all Snipes. No movement there. You can see Ced right there, trying to get in any sort of position that if a mistake was made, he would be in the prime position to capitalize on that mistake. As we head through Sector 3, Sed is closing down the gap to Dre, as Snipes is going to maintain the lead for right now as we head through Sector 3. Dre now getting very impatient as we head through Sector 3, the final turn down to the front stretch. White flag is in the air as we hit lap 35 of 35. Here we go. Does anyone have anything left in the tank? As Dre is going to go flying. Is he going to try and make the move around the outside? We're side by side. Sed is going to try and make his move as well. And now heading down the inside. Does Dre have the move? A little bit of contact. Snipes is still holding on right there. But Dre is going to take the lead. Snipes is going to maintain P2. As we head here through Sector 2, it's all going to come down to Snipes. Dre still has that 3-second time penalty for track limits. So if Snipes can maintain right now, he is going to win the race. As we head through the end of Sector 2, here in through Sector 3, off track again. Dre actually just got another warning. I believe he's actually on pace. If he gets one more warning, it is another 3-second time penalty as we head through the final corner here through Sector 3. Not calling it too early. Dre around the final turn, and he is going to go across the line, and Snipes in the Cadillac will bring home the win as the time penalty proves too much, as Cadillac will win the race. Dre in P2, Sed P3, Harold P4. And now, heading down the front stretch, this could be close. Across the line, Vincent P5. And it will be close, but 2A will maintain P6. Skull will finish in P7. And right now, Angry Badger trying to maintain that gap. Enzo will slide off track. And John DT did finish as well in P11. And it looks like right now we'll go ahead and check the penalties if there's going to be anything. Oh, yes. If Enzo maintains this right now, Enzo moves into P8. Around the final corner. And it will be Enzo into P8. Angry Badger P9. And then Nemesis will be the final driver across the line in P10. What a crazy climactic finish. Unbelievable finish. And Snipes, you get to celebrate, my man. Cadillac will bring home the trophy and the win. And a great result there for Dre. And then a absolutely fantastic result there for Sed as well. And we'll go ahead and look at the final results. Snipes will go ahead and take home the win 2A with the fastest lap. Dre will get driver of the day and most overtakes. And Skull will actually go ahead and get the cleanest driver award as well. And this is your final result. Snipes will take home the win in the Cadillac. Dre in P2, Sed P3, Harold P4, Vincent P5, 2A P6, Skull P7, Enzo P8, Angry Badger P9, Project Nemesis P10, and John DT in P11. And then we had our DNFs, who were Illyrian in P12, Daza P13, Boy in P14, Drip P15, Bookie P16, Calgano P17, Otis P18, and Kaizu in P19. That was a crazy, crazy finish. And I can imagine that there probably will be discussion for next week's race. But I am curious to see what next week will have in store, as I will go ahead and double check the calendar if I am not blind. There it is. We will double check the calendar, and the calendar will be taking us to Bahrain. And actually, I just commentated another race at Bahrain, and it was very intriguing and very interesting. But that is going to do it for us here at Rush Racing North America and EU. I hope you guys all enjoyed this presentation of Rush Racing, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the race here in Hungary with the very thrilling ending. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to follow the Twitch if you guys want to get notified of every time that we go live, and we will be back next Saturday for another race at Bahrain. Hope you guys have a good day or a good night wherever you guys are, and we will see you next week.